Hello there, darling. I'm Alicia.
I'm Carissa. Christine.
And we are the Lever Sisters. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you so much for all the support in our past videos. It really has been quite a blessing having everyone watch and like and comment and share. Thank you.
Kitty.
Are you dumb Doras? What's you doing?
Don't make me plop you in the kisser. Is this a thumbs up? Up yours.
And to recap, take over.
So to recap our last video, we told you a little bit about our paranormal encounters we had in the past. We started at our old house back in Brockton, and then we went over to the hotel, or motel, whatever you want to call it. We ended it off in our new home. It was in New Bedford,
Lovely place.
where things got a little crazy. And I think where we kind of left it off was more towards the end. So we are going to let you guys know today how we got rid of our entity. But first, we have Miss Kitty here. She wants to tell you a little bit about her ghostly encounter.
Somebody be getting me a Newport after this.
I promise. My story or stories all took place at my aunt's house, my Aunt Linda. I was the oldest cousin, and I used to babysit her 4 boys often. It started when I was probably 10, 11 or something. I used to go over there and babysit. It was in Kingston. It was down the last house on a dead end, but it was like right next to the woods. So that in itself was already a little bit creepy. Things started happening, like little things at first. Like, I never experienced like the worst of it, but other family members did, and I heard about it. So I would be babysitting with one of my friends, my best friend, Dottie. We were young. We would be, doing our thing, babysitting, and then there was downstairs, upstairs, and there was a basement. And we would be down like in the living room area and the couch in the front of the house, and the kids would all get put to bed on the second floor where all the bedrooms were. I remember like the first night that we got really, really freaked out. There was a bulkhead that went in and out to the basement, and it was always locked. My aunt and her husband would never let it be unlocked because whatever. So, and the door that inside the house that went down to the basement stairs was like this old heavy door, but it must have been like off the hinges because we had to like lift it with all our might to like pick it up to pull it open. And it was like so bad. You could see like the floor was always like scratching and scratching because if you tried to rip it open, it just wouldn't move. So no kid could have done it, kids that were a lot younger than us. They had this big dog and a couple cats, and we would put them down in the basement so that they didn't get out of the house. And like 20, 25 minutes later, would be sitting there in the living room on the couch, and I'd be, like flipping through the channels on TV or whatever, patting the dog, cat, whatever it may be. It happened multiple times, and then I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. Didn't we put the cat in the basement? Or the dog, like, what the hell? How did they get up here? So the animals were somehow getting out of the basement. We have no idea how, but we had looked 100 times. There's no way for them to get out of there, except for the bulkhead, which was locked. We checked every time we found a dog or cat out of the basement. And the door, there was no way for anyone to open it other than me or one of my friends or my cousin that used to come babysit with us. So something like that happened that day, and we were all freaked out. So we went upstairs after the kids had already been sleeping into the bedroom with them, and we like each grabbed a kid, and we were like laying there hugging them, just scared. And I remember it was like windy, and the windows were kind of old, and you know how sometimes like when it's windy and the windows are old, you can kind of hear like a whistling. So it started like almost like that, yeah, something like that. And my friend kept saying, oh, it's just the wind, is it just the wind? I'm like, yeah, it's just the wind. But I swear, there was whistling that came from a person or something inside that room. And it happened for like, I don't know, 20 minutes and just wouldn't stop. But you could tell the difference. It was loud, it was close, and it was not the windows. And it was just like constant whistling. We just sat there like frightened, couldn't move, whatever. So that was that. And the things with the cats always happened. at night we would sometimes watch things with the kids on the downstairs TV before they went to bed, give them a snack. And when everybody was down there with us and accounted for animals, everything, we would hear footsteps upstairs constantly and would be like, what the hell is that? So nobody would go up and check, obviously, until it was time for bed. We'd just send the kids up, mean, but we were kids too, basically. And then if everybody was upstairs, same, we would hear things downstairs. So my younger brother, Justin, he was like 5 or 6 at the time, I think. And he had slept over one night. I wasn't there, but my mom told me the story. And my aunt Linda has really blonde hair, and so does my mom. So he had gone to sleep in one of the beds upstairs, and when he woke up in the morning, he was like, Auntie Linda, you were so funny last night in your Halloween costume. And she's like, what are you talking about, honey? You know, like kids just talk. She's probably like, oh, he had a dream. Oh, you were so funny in your costume with your black hair and your black wig and your costume and your black clothes. And she's like, what are you talking about, honey? He's like, yeah, you came over to me and woke me up and you were talking to me for a minute and I saw your black wig and your black clothes. And she's like, oh yeah, and just went along with it. But I guess my aunt had known that there was a ghost because they had encountered different things too. One morning my aunt's husband was leaving for work. He left at like 5, 6 in the morning. He was like in one of the unions in Boston, so he had to leave super early when it was still like almost dark. And my aunt had never woken up that early, like at the time he was leaving. She was never up and out of bed. So he went to leave for work, and I don't know, whatever happened. And then he calls her a little while later and he was like, oh, hey, you were up early this morning. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, I went to leave and I looked up in the window and I saw you leaning over the baby's crib waving goodbye to me. And she's like, that wasn't me. I didn't get up till like 8 or 9 o'clock with the baby. And he's like, I thought it was weird. I thought that the lady had dark hair. And I was like, is that Linda? Whatever. So that was super creepy. And then another time, my other aunt, Brenda, was sleeping over, and my aunt had 4 kids and was always busy. So a lot of times the clothes would get washed and they would get put on the love seat in a pile, and then, you know, they got folded when they got folded. Anyone that has multiple kids knows that that's what happens sometimes. So she had just finished putting the kids upstairs to bed, and this was like her first time staying over there. And so she had folded all the clothes and put them away on the couch that usually was like covered in clothes. And so she was laying there watching TV. She said that she was kind of half dozing off, and when she opened her eyes, she had seen like almost like a lady figure with black clothes and black hair facing away from her at the window, like bending over like this over the window and just looking outside. She couldn't see her face, but then I guess it moved a little bit and you could tell that it actually was like a figure leaning over. And she's like, every piece of hair on my body stood straight up and it was like frozen in time. I could not move. So she just closed her eyes and was like just hoping, praying that whatever it was went away. And she kind of like made a little noise. Well, we think probably because there was always a mound of clothes there on the couch that this being or whatever thought maybe, you know, or just thought it was the pile of clothes that was always there and didn't realize it was actually somebody there. So wasn't like hiding herself. So my aunt waited until nobody, you know, until it went away. And then she went like running upstairs to my aunt, and my aunt's like, oh yeah, you know, ended up telling her the truth. Like, we know that there's something here, but it always takes good care of the kids and the animals and, you know, has never done us any harm or anything like that. So yeah, that was super creepy. And my aunt told me. And then I called my aunt and I was like, no wonder. I was like, this was happening, that was happening to me. And she's like, I know, but we just didn't want to scare you away because we're never babysitter. I'm like, oh, great. So yeah, that was super creepy. And then I didn't go over to babysit anymore, and they ended up moving not long after that. So yeah, I don't know every other story that happened with them because I was young and she didn't want to talk about it because she didn't want to scare anyone else away and not have a babysitter or company at our house. So yeah, that was super creepy and I'll never forget it. That's all I know.
I would have crapped my pants.
I got chills.
But it was like something that always took care of like the kids and the animals, because it was probably like protecting my brother, doing something while he was sleeping. I don't know if he was gonna fall off the bed or putting a blanket on him, or, and then like when my uncle was leaving and he saw the being or lady leaning over the crib, was probably like soothing the baby in the crib and like, you know, whatever it did. And the animals, like, it never wanted the animals to be locked in the basement and always found a way to, like, help them back upstairs. So, yeah.
All right.
Is my bow tie straight? Yeah.
So as promised, we have the ending as to how we got rid of the ghost. Okay. So it was a beautiful summer's eve. No, it was early in the morning, and me and Chris, we were just sitting there talking about it, and I was like, oh, you know, I bet there's ways, like, you know, we can look up how to get rid of the ghost, because at this point we had just been fed up. We're like, you know, we're over it. We need to figure out how to get rid of it. So we were like, okay. And us, being our teenage selves, instead of just Googling it, we were like, let's go to the library and research it like they did in the movies, you know.
So dramatic.
Yeah. So we decided to go to the library. We kind of split up, so we were looking for books. We asked the librarian there if they had any, and then they also had computers that you could look things up on. So we were, you know, separated, doing our own things, looking for different solutions, looking up websites, looking up people close by that could help or we could message. And we really didn't tell each other what we had looked up until we had gotten home.
And we were there for hours.
We were there for hours, and we were also trying to kill time because nobody was home, so we were nervous being home alone. So then we looked up a whole bunch of paranormal things, read books on it. We went home and...
Oh man. So mind you, it's midday. So it's the middle of the day. It's light out. We went home and we went to the kitchen table. It was the kitchen table against the wall. There was an island right behind us. And then if you were facing the table, to the left of it was the staircase coming down from upstairs. And so, yeah, we sat at the table and we were just like going over everything that we found. I was telling her what I found and how we could get rid of it. And Krista was telling me about what she found. So we were sitting there like putting all our notes together, and I'm like, yeah, so, you know, all we really got to do is just tell it, you know, get out, and maybe we can try if that works. That was like one of the things that you could try and do. So in the middle of us comparing notes, we hear it. So Carissa's room upstairs, it was the staircase to go up, then it was the hallway, then it was Carissa's room at the end, and my room was somewhere up there. So from Carissa's room was all the way at the other end. All we hear is boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Legit, just, it started walking and then ran, like, and dipped down the stairs. Like, it was the scariest thing. Me and Chris were just like, and the second it made it, we legit heard it. We heard it walk to a jog, to a run, and run as fast as it could all the way down the stairs. And then we jumped up. The second it got all the way downstairs, the entire kitchen got cold, like freezing cold. Me and Krista jumped up. We ended up on opposite sides of the island, and Krista and me are just looking at each other like, what did we even say?
We were scared we just like froze, and we were like, no, you come on this side with me, but we were too scared to like go through the middle and go around to each other.
The scariest thing is that it was in the middle of the day.
Of the day.
Like, stuff like that usually happens at night. And the shopping thing too, like when we came back from grocery shopping and you guys were flipping out when we came upstairs, and you and Nina heard that like growling and bang, like someone banging in the next room.
Back and forth.
That was in the middle of the day too. Like, that's the creepiest part to me, that it happens in the middle of the day. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
So like I'm over there like, Carissa, you come over here, you come over here. And Carissa's like, no, wait, you come over here, you come over here. And we were both just like, what do we do? What do we do? And then I remembered like, oh, just say get out. So I'm sitting there like, get out, get out. And Carissa's like, get out, get out. Like, we're so scared. And then I like,
I would have passed
yeah,
out.
shaking in our voice. And then I was just like, get out. And like I yelled it, and I yelled it like multiple times. I was like, get out, get out. And Carissa started joining in, and we're both just like, get out. And then out of nowhere, everything just got calm. Like like the tension and the uncomfortableness, it just it was so weird. It just like washed away. The room became like warm again, and we were both just like we just had I don't know how we knew. We just knew it was over. Like a sigh of relief, or it was over for that period of time.
Yeah.
And then
You told the story.
So like we said in our last video, we really didn't talk about it because we were just nervous to talk about it and bring it up again and then it come back. So telling the full, that was the first time me and Chris had told the full story, was our last video.
Legit the very next day, me and Carissa were sitting at this table.
I don't
All
know
the
why.
doors were closed, and I'm sitting here, and my table extends too. So Carissa was like on this side, but back a little bit. And she had her son Asaya and was feeding him, and I had my granddaughter Melanie, my son's daughter, right here. So we were like both feeding the babies. We're laughing, talking, feeding the babies, playing with them, whatever. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear, like, and the whole house is quiet. There's no TVs, music, nothing. Like a creaking, like a door creaking, but like loud. Like it had to have been one of these 3 doors. So I'm like, oh, okay, not creaked out. So we both look real quick. And after, like, right after we both looked, you could just see the fear in our eyes. We both looked back at each other like neither one of us could move or breathe, because we looked, and while it was creaking for like a full 20 seconds, none of the doors were moving, but it was creaking loud and clear, like one of these doors, and nothing was moving. And we both looked at each other like, is this really happening right now? Like, and we just
I'm getting
couldn't
mad
talk.
scared.
I know,
Too.
I'm getting goosebumps so bad.
I have
And then we looked at each other
goosebumps.
again, and we both looked again. We looked back, and I'm like, nothing's moving. She's like, there's no door moving. I'm like, I know. So we just sat there like with goosebumps and like pale white and didn't move. Then I called this one the next day and asked her, I was like, has anything happened since the story for you? She's like, well, I didn't, why? I'm like, something kind of happened to me and Krista. She's like, no, like freaking out, be like just hoping it doesn't all start again. And then she told me her story. We don't know if this is all just coincidence, because we're like freaking out. Once we like relive it by talking about it, it's like we're all on edge and freaking out or whatever. So it could be just that, or I don't know, you guys be the judge.
I think it was that night, or the same day that happened to you guys. My cat ended up like making like a little hole in the box spring, and she'll go in there and just lay in there all day, like just fine. And that's just her home. That's what she likes. So she was doing it like normal, like whatever. All of a sudden, like the bed started shaking, and I hear the cat. Oh my god, the cat's like when a cat's like.
Were you on the bed?
Yes, I was on the bed, and I was mad scared to move. And Brandon's sitting there playing Xbox, so he couldn't hear anything. I'm like, but the cat's under there, and she starts making all these noises, and she's like, "Meow, meow, meow," and hisses. And then I hear like a drag, like it wasn't long, but it was just like enough to like like something was being dragged for a second, like, but like on a rug, and then it stopped, and the cat just ran out the room. In my head, I'm just like, it was just the cat being a cat. A couple nights after that, I ended up getting sleep paralysis again. It scared the living crap out of me.
What?
Yeah, I literally haven't had sleep paralysis since the
God.
motel, which is the scariest thing in the world.
Well, a couple of days ago, my little brother and my fiance were outside on the porch, and I was in here watching my son's bottles because I have to sterilize them in the kitchen. But I have my baby monitor, and it catches, pretty much any noise around, but it was silent. Pretty much everybody was in bed because it was late at night except for them two. But in the monitor, you could hear like somebody opening things in my bedroom. Like you could hear the door, like the closet door opening, which has stuff in front of it, so you can't open it, not unless you move all that stuff, and it sounded like sliding. And I was just paranoid. I'm like, maybe that's something outside, like, and it's catching it for some reason. Like I didn't understand what it was, so I'm just sitting there, and then I turn the monitor down, and I'm listening in the room, and you can still hear it, like somebody's walking around the room. And I keep looking at the baby. He's not moving. He's fine. He's not making any noises. He's asleep. And all you can hear is like moving around, open the closet door opening, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like the closet door is closed with things in front of it, so it cannot open by itself. So then my fiance and my little brother come inside.
Great.
And I'm like, you guys, shh. I'm like, I think I hear something in the room. I'm like, just be quiet for a second.
Wait, did you go in the room, or you
No,
listening
I
from
never.
outside the door?
I was listening from at the table with the monitor, because I'm like, that's the only way I could really hear it. Oh my god! So they came in, and I'm like, shh, like, I think I hear something, and as soon as they came in, it stopped. Like it was just nothing happened. Went in there, I checked on him. Nothing had moved. Nothing was open. Like it was just so
Creepy.
So last night we're sleeping, and then I wake up, and whenever I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm so scared to look at the time, because I'm so scared I'm gonna wake up at like 3. And of course, I look at the time, it's 3:40, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm mad scared. And then like literally, so I sleep on the inside, well not the inside, 'cause our bed's in the middle, but Brandon didn't move, the cat doesn't go in our room at night, and because the door is shut, so we leave her out there because she's too psycho. And I go to sit up to use the bathroom, and I hear something drop next to Brandon, and it just sounded like glass shattered everywhere. Like, you know that sound when a glass falls and it shatters. That's exactly what I heard. I'm like, what the heck? So I turn the light on real quick. I'm looking all around like, what the hell just fell? There's no glass anywhere. I mean, there's nothing glass on his nightstand anyway. I'm just looking around like, what the hell? And so I'm like, I go out there and the cat's up, and I'm like looking all around to see like maybe it was out there, even though it sounded like right there next to Brandon, and nothing is out there is broken. Like, I was like, what in the world? I went pee and ran back to the
So
room.
creepy, like the creaking door that didn't move.
Yeah.
Imaginary noises. This is great.
So yeah, today.
It was just you and me and Josh and Melanie because I had my granddaughter last night, and nobody was here except for us. And when he got up and he went over there, he was like, "What? Who was that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Who? I just heard a guy's voice in Carissa's room."
Oh my
I'm
god.
serious.
Why did you say
Call
that?
him out here and
sleeping
ask
in my
him.
room.
Sorry.
Well, this is why we'll never tell another ghost story again, guys.
Hopefully we're just being paranoid
And I'm not
and
celebrating
we're on
Halloween.
edge. We're already dressed up.
I know. So guys, pray for us. First and foremost.
Seriously.
And thank you guys so much for the support on all of our videos. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn your post notifications on so you guys get notified anytime we post a video.
And help us.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like seriously, if anyone has anything similar or knows what the heck that means or can translate any of us, like comment or reach out to us somehow because it's pretty freaky.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.